Part 4, Casual Sex.
What is your thought process? What is your aftercare, if there is any? And do you keep any of them as F buddies? You know, here you are doing, you know, your sport effing, and what did they get out of it? How is your approach? What do you guys think about that? I mean, well, I would certainly have my opinions on this, but I'm curious about that because you're really on the ground.
You know, like when it comes to the sport, you know, it's like, hey, she's married, hard pass. I'm not the home wrecker.
Of course.
Guy. I can't do that shit, man.
Okay.
You got a boyfriend, you're on the outs. Okay. Are you living with him? No. Okay. Then yeah. You know, but show them a good time, you know, be a gentleman with it, you know, and give them some experiences that maybe they haven't experienced yet, or if
what kind of expectation do you have with them up front?
Well, I mean, it's just,
I think that's important.
You know, just like, you know, within like the first like 15 minutes, it's like, hey, you know, I'm attracted to you and I'm, you know, like my intentions are this. I want to fucking tear you apart. These are the things I like doing to women.
And not in a physical sense, but in
yeah. In that interactional moment. Okay. Nothing crazy, man.
Yeah.
Full disclaimer.
Yeah. Any such language that would be smash, tear, you know, punch is a strictly more metaphorical in this context. It's much more loving than that.
Yeah,
it's going to feel that way in the process. Like afterwards,
it's going to be an experience that would be mutually desirable.
Oh yeah, it's going to be desirable.
And that might include language that would sound harsh.
Yeah.
But afterwards, you're going to feel like you've done a full body workout with Phil Foster for 75 hours straight.
But that's very fulfilling and satisfying. So, or so I'm told, right?
Yeah.
So your experience with that and setting that expectation up front. Now, some of them aren't for that, right?
Yeah. So they filter themselves, and it's on to the next, right? And so the ones that respond favorably to it, they understand exactly where I'm at and where I'm going with it. I mean, that's the end of it, you know?
Yeah, you're grown adults, right?
Yeah. And, you know, there's no beating around the bush. There's no like taking my shot from the bushes or something like that. This is precisely what I'm into and what I like.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'd recommend.
And if you're not into that, it's all good. Let's just chill.
So now you've done that, and I'll get to Glenn in a second, but you've done that, and then usually there's a life cycle of that short relationship. And then do you have some that want to stay F buddies for a while or just occasional sort of thing? And can you tell me how is that expectation or how is that aftercare any different?
So basically, you know, if she wants to like fall into the rotation, basically how me personally, my expectation is this. I mean, if you want access to me, then you give me access exclusively. Now, if you can't do that, then I understand that perfectly fine. On to the next.
Okay.
You know, it's not, you know, I'm not one to, I don't like following. Does that make sense?
So when you have a rotation and they're not let's say your main,
mm-hmm.
and, you know, you still pursue the exclusivity on their side, or do you have occasional FBs that come back occasionally and then they go do their thing?
Yeah, they'll swing back. They'll swing back through, and then on to the next. You know, and or they'll fall back into their own lifestyle or whatever they're doing. And
that is that expectation different with them and pretty mutually satisfactory.
It's satisfactory, and you know, obviously they're coming back because they want that. You know what I mean? They want that experience. I think that when you start dealing with women extremely honestly and brutally, because they're so used to dudes like shooting around, you know, like a corner. You know, when you direct with them and, hey, this is what it's going to be. And if you really want to have access to me, this is what my expectation is with that. And it's like, sure, I'm good with that 100%. You know, inherently, most people, well, I'm going to say women in general. Okay. And I'm not saying this in a rude way or anything, but they're relatively boring. You know, they go to work, they go home. There's a small sect of them that like to go out and party and get smashed on every weekend. And then there's a bigger portion of them that are really homebodies, believe it or not. They'd rather go to work, go home, you know, chill out, watch their show, you know, kind of hibernate in their zone. And those are the ones that I tend to, you know, migrate towards the ones versus the ones that are out fucking, you know, jumping from cock to cock on the weekends.
Yeah. Yeah. And so some of those gals that are average, they want to have fun so bad. I've seen this with my clients. When they finally take that plunge and they start working their way up that ladder. And the funny thing is, once you have some of those average women very interested in part of that rotation, like you say, the 7s and 8s start, they just, for some reason, that level of attraction goes up. And it's because there's kind of an energy or an esoteric air about you of confidence having that experience of casual sex over time. And this is why women don't have any problem with body count with men. It actually become more desirable. There was a famous comedian. I can't remember her name, but she's blonde. If I ever find it, I'll get it. She talked about watching her boyfriend and girls being attracted to her and really flirting with her boyfriend, and what a turn on it was. She was scared and excited, but it was a big turn on to her. God, she's got a famous name too. She's been on Joe Rogan. Blonde gal, young gal, Nikki. Her name's Nikki. If I find that video, we'll put it up here because it's really revealing about female nature and their ability to sense your attractiveness to other females. So I tell some of the guys that are very socially awkward that want the casual sex, heck, they just want a girlfriend, but they got to start somewhere. And they look at all of these heroes on the internet and they're telling their guys, I only sleep with 8s, 9s, and 10s. And I got to question that for just about everybody out there. They might have 1 or 2 of those, but when it push comes to shove, I'm not so sure about that if it's just casual sex, you know. I would like to say I don't think the numbers bear it out fully, but that's just me. So Phil, you do the aftercare, and have you found that the more interest you've had, the more your attractiveness goes out to all women?
I believe that's the case. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I believe that 100%. And aftercare is an important piece to this whole thing. You know, I mean, once again, throughout the whole interaction, it's important that you act like a gentleman.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You know, there's a lot of like red pill Rambos out there that'll say, yeah, I just, fuck, pump and dump or whatever like that. You know, and here's the thing, man, when you
lie to them, Phil, they'll say, just lie to them so you can get laid. I don't support that in any way.
No. You want to be a gentleman, and give her a quality interaction with you, man, each and every time she's around you. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to cause her to want to generate, generate those feelings of, hey, I want to be submissive to him. I want to show enthusiasm to this guy. I mean, every time I'm around him, it makes me feel great. But the counterintuitive thing is in this space that we talk about and deal with a lot is a lot of guys are like, oh, it's just, just go out and pump them and dump them. And that's all that. Well, what happens then is these chicks, they kind of like, they
get jaded.
They're harder to work with. Was it so bad to be a gentleman? I don't think it's a big deal to buy a chick dinner. I don't think it's a big deal to open the door for the car for her. No, she doesn't deserve that. I.e., her behavior doesn't reflect that I act in those manners with her, then why am I even with her to begin with? On to the next.
Oh, and it's totally okay to check on them occasionally. Say, hey, I was thinking about the other night and just want to check in on you. That's it. I mean, obviously, there's guys that go all in because they're so thirsty and they get creepy as hell really quickly. But
you can't do
that's
that,
not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, Phil. You got this experience. That goes so far when you just pick that phone up and you say, hey, I was just thinking about you. Boom. That's it. After this long absence, which actually increases that availability, and you're still being good to them and you've been upfront and honest. I like that a lot. I don't like the part of some of these, in our space, there is the pickup artists. Got no issues with them, but there's some guys that do really, really push that numbers game where it's a little bit of entertainment, pump and dump, ejaculate and evacuate, lie to them just to get that, snatch and move on, and I don't agree with that approach at all, because I don't think that is really teaching them anything but bad habits. I think what you're doing is really good, because you get the experience, you get that attractiveness, and you learn how to deal with women and treat them like a gentleman in many respects, and have that aftercare. So when you do elevate one to main plate status, you got a real shot at a decent LTR where she's going to turn into a ride or die chick. And I think that's what most men want anyway. If they don't understand, especially now I see in my consulting, they don't know where to start. So when I say, let's increase how to get casual sex, that and these other previous episodes, you got to start somewhere. So start at the bottom and hoist yourself up rung to run. Right, Glenn?
And it could be, on the aftercare piece of that, like you were saying, just texting her or giving her a quick call a couple of days later. It could actually be something as simple as this, gents. You could even say, hey, I just drove by that spot. We had dinner. It was a great time. I'm looking forward to seeing you again.
Oh, yeah.
and that's all you need to do. You just throw those seeds on the dirt and the rain comes and waters them and it grows.
Yeah.
You don't have to even say you were thinking about her.
That's true.
Hey,
that's a little much.
You could just as simple as, hey, I just drove by where we were hanging on Saturday. Yep. And I really enjoyed that.
Or even better, you could take a picture of it and flash it with no words and let the hamster wheel. I like the stuff that lets the hamster wheel spin.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's my favorite. A specialized emoji that doesn't say anything, or a finger pointing to a place where we were out in the meadows doing with my finger and my jewelry pointing right there, right? And that's it. So that's something like that. Now, there is something to be said. I got to give Glenn some credit. Guys that dive into the deep end of the pool, they sink or they swim. And when they swim, they learn to swim fucking good. So
we become Navy divers.
He became mixed, but not mixed gas muff divers.
Not mixed gas muff divers. We become official, real deal Navy divers. And so, like you mentioned, like what's
deep
my
divers,
process, right? Like, what's my process with this? Like, I'm very particular, like of the type of woman that I would engage with. Period. And that's because I have had experiences in my life where I have witnessed things that take place that guys could catch themselves in a real bad position just going after the thirst, just for the fact like they just are trying to smash and they're not catching all like, because to me I think there's red flags that you have to be aware of when, even if you're going into a casual situation, even if you're going to go into like a one-off scenario, there are some red flags you have to be aware of that are good warning signs for you to know what kind of person this is and what you might be getting yourself into even afterwards. Because you could go in there with the mindset of doing exactly what Phil said, and that aftercare might not be enough for what they're expecting.
And the woman. Yeah, and you got to sort that out first.
Yeah, and that's what for me is like that part has to be met first. Like I have to make sure that like I'm good going into this. I kind of know where her personality is. I know where we're at with this, because there's a lot of times where you could do these one-off scenarios where you just meet it with the girl, had a great night, you bang it out, and then you're gone in the morning, and then you find yourself in a situation where you got a clinger or you got somebody like, what I'm saying? There's a lot of scenarios you gotta vet through. And you have to make sure that you're good to go into that beforehand. So for me, it's like, like, I don't care how hot you are. I mean, you got to be hot for one, but if your personality's not there, if I'm not getting that,
you're highly unique. Glenn, you're highly unique. You're a good looking dude. You're tall, you're buff. So, I mean, so's Phil. We all have a little bit of uniqueness. And let's just say you're doing your impact consulting. You get a guy that's not, he's average. He needs to increase his casual sex count. So he might be okay with a stage 3 clinger, not a stage 5, but how would you advise him to go about increasing his casual sex? Because I know your standard is high, but you know what? You've earned it because of where you've positioned yourself and the ability, the way you move socially really puts you in that position, just like Phil. But if you were to advise somebody, take yourself out of your own head.
I'm moving myself out of the equation.
Yeah,
and I said that. Like, look, I've even said in the beginning, like, if you're just wanting to get more reps in, if you just wanted to get more opportunity, then you have to lower your standards on who you end up getting with. You have to disregard what you find attractive and just accept whatever holes available. All right. Like that has to be the mentality. You can't really care whether or not, she meets a beauty standard. So knowing that, like, but you still, regardless of the beauty standard, there still is a standard of, is this person going to be a problem afterwards and how they move? And that's something I even tell anybody to consider, like, be careful who you stick your dick in, because the consequences could be more severe after that 5 minutes of fun. The consequences could be a whole lot worse. But
yes, of course, we could talk about that in a separate episode too. That's
like, like normally it's just like, look, you go in there with the approach of be straightforward, always up front with them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to have a good time? We're having fun. We're having fun. Great. You kind of feed off of their what they're putting off on you. If you see that they're wanting to take it to the next level and not telling you that, then you introduce that next level, and then you kind of see where they're at. And as it escalates and you get to the point, that's great. The aftercare, like Phil said, is crucial. Is crucial because one, they don't ever want to feel like they were just another notch, under your account. Like you were just gaming them to just get laid. They want that aftercare, and that aftercare, like Phil said, is critical. Whether that's texting them shortly after, hey, I had a great time, or like the date, whatever he mentioned, or even funny things like, hey, you could text them something that you remembered in the conversation. Maybe they told a joke, and you're like, yo, I just saw that meme, and it reminded me of that joke that you told me on that during our date. Like even little things like that. One that shows them that you remember more than just the physical aspects of it. You kind of took notice of their personality or things that they said. That's always great. But the aftercare is critical, and but again, it goes back to finding out the right situation, and when is the right time for you to actually jump on that situation or not.
Mm-hmm. Good advice.
Part of the process.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. You vast experience, man. You guys live at the top of your game. So to answer that question is probably a little difficult to jump out of it because of our experience. But how about this one? I know you guys have all experienced this. Any man that's been around the block as long as we have does. Okay, so here's the deal. You had a good time. You're out in your social circle. There's this gal. And this gal, she's hot, man. She's at least 7'5", maybe 8. Hell, maybe she's 8'5". Shit's going really good, man. And you guys have fun. Night goes by, man. And then it's dark. You pop it, you have that. And then you kind of just relax. Everything's feeling really good. And you kind of open your eyes and look over there with that post-ejaculatory mental clarity. And you realize, yeah, she's a 4 or a 5. Now that my head is rather clear because this is a reality, man. And this is where aftercare comes in. Some of that aftercare is for you, right, guys? Tell me your story.
First, you gotta give yourself aftercare. Because there's been times where I had to give myself some aftercare before I can even get aftercare.
Let's talk about that, man. Did I not nail it? You guys have been there. You look at your face when I mention that.
Dude. It's like you time warp or something, man. You're like,
for a reason.
you guys was it the $6 million man Lee Majors, that sound when he jump over a wall? Yeah, man. You roll over, you go, what the hell?
Yeah, I know. It's something else, isn't it?
No, man, it's that buildup in your mind, man, because let's just face it, man.
Phil, do you wake up and hear this?
Yeah.
Or do you wake up and that's Glenn when he finds the floor after he pops one.
It's one of those situations where I quietly slip off into the restroom with my phone and text Glenn and have him call me.
Yeah.
And he put it on speaker. He's impersonating 911 saying someone's passed away.
Yeah, you just blew one. You go to the bathroom and go, tape rewind.
When I go, I get my phone and go, oh shit. Hold on a second. Yeah. No, right now. Okay.
There's his acting skills right there. That's aftercare. Aftercare for himself.
I'm on my way. I'll be right there. All right.
It'll be all right.
Babe, I'm really sorry. I got work. Just work called me. Shit's hitting the fan. Can I call you later? Can I call you when this is done? All right, thank you. All right, gotta go.
Shit hit the fan. She's gonna need a man then. Come on, man.
Not this man. Not this man.
They make this little thing on your phone where you could program it as an emergency savior, where it's going to make a ring, just about that time you get a clear head. It could give you a call and you could either silence it or you could go, oh, it's okay. I'm looking at the real thing now. It's okay. Or you can pick it up and say, yeah, I'm going to need an Uber. It's okay.
No, have you guys ever been in that situation though? Where you woke up and you're like, wait a minute, where's the girl that was here?
And you can't even blame it on alcohol. That's pretty bad.
You can. You're like,
welcome to being a man, gentlemen.
But and it's part of the process, right? You know, everybody has that one experience where they don't ever want to talk about, like they just don't brag about, like they just don't even want to mention, right? Like, but they did it, and it's like, you know, we all have that, and you know,
every man has 3 or 9 of those for sure.
Yeah, and
Minimum.
it's like, you know, when you're getting into it, you know, and if you have to go, like Thor says, what is your intentions in this? Is it get more reps? Great, then you could have no bottom, no threshold, you know. But it's like, do you want to be able to get more reps with a certain quality of woman? Then you have to, of course, that's a little bit more challenging. And I think that's where the real starting to work on your game and your approach and your, you know, just your presentation takes a little bit more, because once you get to the point where you know you could get laid.
You know, you're absolutely right, Glenn. When I'm doing my consults and guys want this, that is exactly the question I ask. Well, what do you want the outcome of this? You know, when they start out with it, what they want is they want to become more skilled as a lover. And then you got to say, okay, so you do that. What is your intention beyond that? Very rarely have I heard the guy say, I want to live the lifestyle and be a playboy and really take this to the next level. That's okay. I have heard it, but that's actually kind of the exception. They want to get good enough to be able to really understand women and kind of lock down a main chick. So yeah, that's a really valid question, Glenn.
I think that's just like the next level of it, right? That's the next level of the reps, is like, you know, once you practice it enough and you're good, it's like, okay, are you willing to go compete with, you know, with Phil Foster? Are you willing to be out at the same time that Phil Foster is at the same club that he's at, and able to compete with, you know, with him trying to get women? Like, you know, like a guy like him in that miss, like that's different, right? That takes a little bit more skill.
I'm not doing that. I'm ordering DoorGash.
Yeah, DoorGash. Yeah,
that's the new one, Phil. I'm just ordering DoorGash.
Let's go. You know, I think,
would you send me the spicy dish, please, from DoorGash?
You know, I think guys, you know, that are trying to develop that skill, you know, just like I was saying earlier in the stream, just hit the low hanging fruit first and practice, man. Make your mistakes on things that aren't really as meaningful as ones that you're going to regret losing, you know, because you're going to make mistakes, man. And that's just, you know, you don't know until you don't. We don't know until we know, and it takes practice and experience to do that. You know what I mean? And you come away from each interaction you have with different women, and you just fucking catalog that shit. What worked, what didn't work. You know, it's almost like, you know, the MRP on Reddit, you know, doing your own field report, so to speak. You know what I mean? And understanding what works and what doesn't work, and then just calibrating your skill. You know, and as you build confidence from having the lower hanging fruit experiences, the fruit starts getting better. You know, it's not the 50% off fruit anymore at the grocery store. You know, it's not the avocado that says it's got the sticker that says ripe. It's the hard ones. You know what I mean? The ones that you can buy and keep on your counter for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And after a while, you know, you have that experience, you have that confidence, that charisma, all that stuff is going to be developed. And before you know it, you're going to have too many women to deal with because you've got your money, your muscles, and your game locked down. And then the women are just going to come, and coining, you know, MLD on that, you know, it's his statement there, you know, or whatever. But, you know, I think that guys just need to get out of their heads, man. I mean, when I talk to a guy, he's like, oh man, well, there's just no girls in my area. I got one of the guys in my men's community, Thor. He's like, oh man, this is where I live. I got online right there on the call, and I said, okay, give me the exact location of where you live. And there was literally like 15 different singles events that coming Friday where he lived.
Phil, I am so glad you brought that up, because I was making a joke when I said, I'm too lazy. I'm just going to call a DoorGash, or if I was really, really into it, I'd call backdoor gash. But guys, that's a joke. You got to, if you want to put the reps in, you want to have casual sex. I belong to communities like MLDs and things like that, and I do some instructing there, but I also hear the guys talking, and they are always looking for that easy way. Honest to God, if they had a DoorGash button, that's where they'd be. They want it easy, and they don't expose themselves. You just went online, you found singles events. Holy crap. And I used to see things like that. And, you know, if you were into, you know, hot moms, you could go with, you know, Parents Without Partners, if you're that kind of sick guy or whatever. But, you know, today, a lot of guys are looking for the TLDR, the easy button, right? Yeah. I actually hear this out of hundreds of guys that are asking questions. It always comes up. I can't find any. Well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm typing online and this and that. And so, I am unfamiliar with the amount. I know the amount of work in social circle and having to go out and do this and be social and develop those skills. And some of them are perishable. If you're isolated, you're going to lose them no matter what kind of an alpha stud you are. You have to be interactive. So with that said, you're in the midst of this, both you and Glenn. Where do you go if you want more casual sex? What recommendations would you make as far as a practical manner? Is it online? Is it doing what you did on the internet? Is it going to the local supermarket and doing cold approach? What is your recommendations, guys?
Glenn, you want to go first on this? Or you want me to take it?
You know what? Okay, I'll go first. Like for me, like I would say go to places where you feel confident at, where you already have like you feel like you belong in this like event or in this community. Like the gym is the new club. I don't care what anybody says. The gym is the new club. If you're going into the gym, you're working out, you're around other people that are body like focused. They want to get their game right. They want to get their body right. They want to be healthy. That's the new club. All right, because you could go in there, find a hot girl that's working out. And if you develop that like camaraderie with people, you go there and people recognize you, or if you're the guy that lifts like the most weights in the gym, like myself, people will know who the hell you are just by seeing what you do. And you could start up small talk, cold approach people that way. I mean, I'm all for being direct, like and getting to know somebody. Like apps and stuff, that's never been my thing. I don't do the app world. I do more like, hey, if I like you, I'm gonna get to know you. I'm gonna come up to you, come be friendly with you, small talk, and let it go from there. Let it develop that way. But
yeah, and I'll attest to this. Having been in social environments, Glenn, he's easy to get along with. He has that personality. Kind of comes through here. He puts on a little bit of harshness, but he is really an easy to get along with guy.
Oh,
and I think you got to develop that skill. Yeah,
I can get along with anybody from any background, any worldview. I could get along with you. I'll find something that we connect with, and that's my way. Like, but to me, the gym is the best place to go find somebody if you really want to find somebody.
See, cool. I was gonna tee off of that real quick, Thor. And see, I'm counterintuitive when it comes to going somewhere you're confident at. I say get out of your comfort zone. Get out there and get to know people. So it could be as simple as just, dude, you could go to a fucking coffee shop, take your laptop, take your tablet, kick back, read a book, grab Rolo's book and just sit there and read. Some girl sits down, you're attracted to her.
You're going to read the player's handbook?
Yeah. Just whatever, anything, Tinder's a good spot, man. That's shooting fish in a barrel. If you have half a wit, you can pull them off Tinder easily, man. There's a lot of, behavior on there that you're going to see girls say, I'm not interested in hookups, that really, when you talk to them extremely directly, that's exactly what they want. That's the whole reason they're there.
Isn't it a saying that like, if they say like they don't want hookups, those are the ones that actually want hookups? Like they're the ones that you should go for the hookups.
Yeah, but even in person, that's just common female sexual tactics, is not to say exactly opposite and then watch the actions. And then as you climb and arousal or attraction comes up, it changes, but it's a lot of times it's unspoken and they expect you to play the game. And we'll talk about that later on a different episode, because it's really critical that you can recognize those skills. Most guys don't, and they don't get the opportunity to do so. And then the girls are miffed that the guy misses opportunity, but they won't go out of their way. They only go out of their way for 4.6% of men. So realize what you're up against. And then I like Phil's method. That's really kind of mine too, is learning to be, and I do this with everything, learning to be comfortable being uncomfortable. That really tempers the steel, so to speak, of you being social. It forces you in that environment, and pretty soon it's not that uncomfortable. You can drop in anywhere and you're speaking to people, making those connections. You're developing a new social circle. And in that social circle, it might just be the social circle inside the coffee shop. And all of a sudden you're laughing and you're talking to all the gals in there and some of the guys too. And you're learning new things. And to me, at least I see guys that get good at that. And even guys that are good in social, like Glenn, getting a lot more interest. And that's when you leverage that interest into with directness, your casual sex rate will go up and you might be surprised,
And see, when I was saying like start out where you're comfortable at, that's where you should start. Now, I'm not opposed. Like, I wouldn't say don't go to a coffee shop or don't go to some place but just to get those reps in, start where you're comfortable at, where you
Like
know
start
you
at ground zero. Yeah.
yeah, like that's your ground zero, and then from there expand as your confidence build, and as you're seeing success, develop. Like then go to the next one.
So
any downtown at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Any downtown at lunchtime.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's I don't know. I got guys that I live in the Metroplex. I mean, I can go to downtown Fort Worth during lunch, during the office hours.
Nice.
And it's like 5 numbers.
Yeah. I'm way out in the sticks, but have you ever? I had a guy in the Dragons, really cool guy, but he kind of shut himself up for a couple of years during the beer bug, and for us, we had to start with ground zero. It's exactly where Glenn was going, and we had to get him into a place where it's familiar and have him just start conversations. And he was so uncomfortable, he had lost that skill, having just been doing Zoom and stuff like that, and being kind of a little bit awkward. It was a huge chore that took several months just to be able to converse. So I can see the point in definitely being comfortable, just so that you can start to develop confidence to get into that next section where you really, really temper yourself.
Well, it's kind of like the ladder thing that you were mentioning earlier. It's just like climbing the ladder thing that you mentioned earlier, where you start off in rung one, right? This is your comfort zone,
yep.
And as you're climbing up the ladder, you're getting more and more further away from your comfort zone, and you're engaging in conversations with people, like you said, at the coffee shop or somebody at the mall. But you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Just so that you would start with the 3 or 4. Ugh. You got to start where you're comfortable.
Yeah. You guys got anything to add up?
No, I think that was good. I think we hit we hit a lot of different points on this topic.
Yeah.
And I definitely think, when it comes to getting the reps in, we kind of hit it all on all heads here. But I think that it'd be interesting, though, to see what your guys' thoughts on the next topic would be like, okay, so how do you go from, going from doing the reps to actually finding somebody, like vetting somebody that you want to get with? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I think that would be interesting. How you go from reps to, locking one down.
Well, that's a good one. I got one for you here, Glenn. You always say there's a new ladder, right? New ladder. So I want to share a screen with you real quick here. All right. And see if this is a new ladder you might want to climb. Okay. What do you say? Let's have some fun here, since we are the Trident. Let's see if I can get you here. Glenn, you willing to start with this ladder right here?
You know what?
She's not a corpulent one.
You know what? I mean, I might feel frisky. Like, if I want to flirt with Satan or something,
that's real person.
I want to bless her and save her soul.
Would you see any flags at all?
I mean, there's all kinds of red flags. There's more red flags than a communist parade right there in that picture. But you know what? I'm a G.I. Joe, baby. Like, I'll go over there.
That's what I'm talking about. Glenn, I think at heart, you really are a mixed gas muff diver. There might be an order with that one.
She made a physical standard that made it worthy of saving, though. She made a physical standard that made it worthy of saving.
Yeah, but it might smell like sulfur and fish.
Oh, man.
That was so wrong in so many ways.
It wasn't it, though? Aren't we the dirty crew, huh?
God.
The dirty dozen.
This one might have to hit Rumble, man.
Oh, it's going to Rumble for sure.
Yeah, either that or we're just going to have to add a bunch of, we're going to have to add a bunch of this.
Like, I'll put my trigger warning. I'm triggered.
Or what's that other one we have somewhere where it's like the girl's sighing like, oh, shock,
Shit.
I have that one too. I have the
that one. That's funny.
Yeah, I got that one too. But you guys, until next time, go out there, get your reps in. Just take what we said in consideration when going out there. Just go out there knowing that if you're going out there just for reps, you're going out there just for reps. You're not trying to lock down anybody. You're just going out there to get the practice. All right. It's the practice before the game. All right. And take the advice that we gave you, try it out. The great thing about Thread Pill, it's a Praxology, so it's written in pencil. It's not written in pen. So go out there, give it a shot and see what it works for you.
And keep in mind, guys, we are BSing, having a good time here. There's plenty of grains of truth here that fit all. And in some cases, the grains of truth are rather sharp and they kind of taste bitter. But keeping that in mind, some entertainment for you guys that we are putting together here on the Trident. And until next time,
you guys take care.
On the Trident. Let's go.